and be like, why does it matter? Like, why don't you just care about all people? And yeah, and I think having that best friend who constantly said homophobic things and didn't make me feel safe, you know, I just never felt like I could talk to anyone about it. And in my schools growing up as well, there weren't too many out queer people, at least not out queer people that looked like me. There were a lot of, there were like cis gay men who were out, but yeah, like nothing, not too many people, not too many trans people or queer women at the time. So when I eventually moved to the East Bay for school is when I truly found community, and partially because I moved into a queer themed co-op. So it's kind of like in the deal. Oscar Wilde House in Berkeley, shout out to that co-op. And moving to Berkeley, right, where it's like supposed to be this haven of queerness and free speech and liberty, right? That's where I really found like myself and found the comfort and acceptance to slowly be more out. But it wasn't until I started doing drag that I felt comfortable with myself, my relationship to self and spirit, that I could do drag and come out as trans or non-binary, whatever I am, right? So yeah, I think that when I reflect back, it's queer and trans people who have always lifted me up, right? And given me that love and that compassion that I know it exists in religion, but I just know that religion doesn't always apply it to people like me.
Yeah. And so drag started, did drag start for you pretty quickly once you got to the East Bay, or?
No, so I moved to the East Bay in 2015, and then I didn't start drag until 2018. And yeah, it was something where I was questioning my gender for a while, but I was in a relationship at the time with a queer woman, and it just felt like I had to be a queer woman for her. And although she was super supportive of my drag, just oftentimes it didn't feel like there was an active like participation, right? It was kind of like showing up and being like, great, but then leaving the shows, right? And I really felt like I needed to do drag because it was like, that's the only way I could come out, right? Because, like, unfortunately, a lot of society views drag as like, just play, you know, it's all fun for fun. It's like meaningless, right? And some drag, you know, it is that way, right? Some drag doesn't have to have a meaning, but I think for a lot of us, our drag is so significant to us, right? Because even if you're not trans, your drag is still a representation of you or a part of you, right? So of course, everyone has such an intimate attachment to their drag persona, or personas plural. And I was really struggling to figure out like, well, who is my drag persona, first of all? And do I even have it in me to allow this part of me to be seen when I feel like I don't really have other people who, or I didn't have other people at that time who were actively either shared similar identities as me or were actively encouraging me to. And the way I started was going to a Rebel Kings of Oakland show. And I had just, by chance, I saw the event on Facebook, and it was the fundraiser for the Pacific Center, which is the LGBT center in Berkeley. And they do it every year. Shout out to Vera, who used to work there, or I don't know, maybe they still work there. Yeah, I was so blown away by Rebel Kings in one, just the fact that Kings existed, right? So I also didn't know that Kings existed until, or Drag Kings, I should say, existed until I came across Rebel Kings of Oakland. And I had seen drag in high school. I had seen a lot of my cis gay men do drag. I watched RuPaul's Drag Race, but you know, that show is problematic and very not inclusive. And I just never thought, like, I always wanted to do it, but I was just like, well, I can't, I'm not a cis man. And, you know, and then I saw the Rebel Kings and I was just like, their show also had a lot of burlesque people, it had queens, it had drag things. So they've always been super inclusive and supportive of like whatever your drag is. That night, I went straight up to Vegas Jake, who's like long running host. Things, and I was like, hi, this was amazing. How do I get involved? And of course, he was so sweet and just like, send me a Facebook message and let me know when you want to perform.
Yeah. I met Vegas